Whew. All right, family, here we go. Project 2, final feedback. Oh, man. Oh, on top of it. I like it. Let's do it. Go Pack. I got their tight end today in fantasy. We'll see what happens. Good, fine. Lee, question: are you changing your hexagons from project to project, kind of as like a color coordinated thing? Curious. Instead of kept, I would say commonly hoarded. Scale down this cat just a little bit. Still a bit. What is 1,500 a year? Are you talking about bags? Or are you talking about minutes? I think an interesting way to juxtapose it, because you're already talking about negative environment impacts. Usage time, 12 minutes. Breakdown time, 4,762 years. I think that would reinforce the information a bit better. Good. White balance is still a bit funny. See how it's kind of pink in the background? I know you're working with like basically all white elements, but try to get them right. So this one's got some pinky. That's almost white. That has some blue hints. Try to get them all even. Okay. You might want to throw in, I don't know. Side note, maybe reduce, reuse, recycle. And they're that order for a reason, right? Reduce how much you consume, reuse what you can, recycle. And recycle is the third part, not the first part. Good. Okay. I think you could benefit from like a project statement, like a how might we between these two. Because you're giving me context, you're saying this is a problem, but I don't really know what you want to solve quite yet. You imply it, but I'd rather you be explicit. And maybe between it, how might we design a trash can that it's built to encourage reuse? Then you learn how to use the Esco cutting table. It's cool. I mean, it's a skill set that rarely people use, and it's better than saying a laser cutter. So there's a plus to that component. Of course, it printed accurately. We know that. What I'm more interested in order to rapidly prototype and find failures in my concept, I think that would be a better way to approach it. Cool. I wonder if, like, because I know I'm hunting for that tab, I see it better this time. Still, if there's any way to highlight that or accentuate it, it's a little bit better. Because, I mean, everything depends on, oh, there's a tab here, you go under, simple, easy, everybody has it. I'm not really sure it needs text, but if there's any way to bring a little bit more attention, a light white, vector or line could do that. Placeholder, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's like a little mini project in there. Man known as Jan. That's interesting because I didn't see this guy before. Assistive echolocation device. All right, my internet's running okay today. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds before. All right, there we go. I cut down some text if possible. I feel like you're only saying half, right? Well, the thing is, I'm not gonna stop and read the entire thing. Because assistive echolocation, who is it for, right? It's not so much, yes, user-friendly, to improve an existing site system by increasing user-friendliness and ergonomics. Socially and ergonomically comfortable. That's weird, right? So socially responsible and ergonomically comfortable. I don't know what these are. And if I don't know what they are, you're in trouble. I would say something to the tune of current design, and then even if it's subtle information, you got to help me, because arc, circles, dots, arc, top half's white, I mean, top half's gray, bottom half's white, so that doesn't communicate what I need to know because I still don't know what it is. Good font sizes. In terms of hierarchy, we're drawn here first. I'm drawn here second. This is kind of funky though, right? So you're expecting me to read all these horizontally. 253 million people live with vision impairment. 81% of people who are blind. I don't know. Question, who is at risk? People. It's like these should really be clustered horizontally instead of vertically. I don't want to take this field trip, but I think it is. Let me get Instagram. I want to see if I can follow. Oh, bugger. I ain't showing your password. Get out. Get away from me. This is the problem when you don't know your Instagram. Am I locked in or good? All right. Guessed the right thing. Okay. So let's see. No, it's IDC. The reason why I bring this up, and I'm going to have to do the IDSA, is sketch idea, sketch note, I think it was called. Here we go. This is something more to the tune. Oh, what a great poster. This is something to the tune of what I want. It's entertaining information. It can be done in a sketch form. I don't mind it being done in a vector form, but this is a lot more engaging to read, right? So if you could like give me 3 clusters and like big font, it's almost like typography at that point. Give me something to the tune of this. All right, keep on reading. Experience, related markets, competitive audit. Small and subtle. What I want you is make that into a target or something, because I don't know which zone, like, am I supposed to go into the red zone or is that saturated? Is this opportunity or taken? You don't really explain it. So if it's a target, we understand that. Right? Or if you hashed that, it would say it occupies the market and not an open opportunity zone. So a little communication would be nice. I'm assuming because nothing's bolded, I'm only supposed to read the headers. Also, bolded, not bolded, but bigger. Is there any reason, or is that a mess up? I'd like these sketches to be a tad bigger. It feels like there's a bit, just too much white space. Bring some hierarchy, or what you can do is like add 3-line weight. You have 2-line weight, but not 3. I also find that I'm looking at the heads first rather than your device. Is there a way to knock back the head, bring the product up in visual hierarchy a little bit better? Also, I'm a big fan of callouts, but until I see the callout that's legible, I don't know what you're thinking. Okay. Don't show me what you did, even though show me what you did is good. Explain why you did it. Good? Makes sense. Is there any way you can bring attention to that, right? So you're talking about the infrared sensors. Could you, I don't know. Where specifically are you integrating them? Or iterating? This is good. I also like there's ergonomic things going on here, and since that was one of your main causes, or one goals in the beginning, referencing would be nice. You are missing a page, right? Because I want to see this mapped on somebody. Also, how does it work? Because it's kind of hidden in here, but until you explain it, lost. Pack and stack. Sam Clubs, Costco, locations. These are the things it needs to be. Got it. Examples, why they're bad. Got it. Hey, you know in class when I pointed this out, that's you. It's a small thing, but we got to be good about the details. Like this, interlocking, tapered, nest. How might we question? So your solution is you're doing corrugated trays. I'm looking for interlock built into it, tapered edges, and nesting. If you added support, like the same thing is here, where'd you add support? Because where is important. Inside stacking, maybe there's another concept with outside stacking. All right, there's a little visual hierarchy problems. Typically, like your eye goes to the areas of highest contrast, and since these are so bold outlined, these get my attention, but these aren't your final concept. So a little bit of work on two things. Knock these back a little bit. You can make them more gray like that if you will. You can go back and do the sketch, and then make these a little bit bolder, like increase the contrast or do a dodge around the edge. That way your more finished ones pop better. So knock back, bring up a little bit, bring up the most, because this is where you want me to look. Also, get rid of that little thing right there. The without fastener is a pretty good thing, because that's a pretty big cost savings. Maybe there's room to brag about it, maybe you don't want to. I don't know. I do like this is prototype on page 1. I see you did lots of work. 2, like you're proving these things out to you. And 3, you're trying different things. And so I can appreciate your exploration. So good page. You bolded too much here. I kind of like refinement, but I think there might be a better word here. Maybe focusing on details, because I mean that's what you're showing me. Just think about it, and like you bolded half the sentence, which kind of takes away the purpose of the bold. Nice, love the sequence of use, branding. Can we bring more attention to that? Idea is, it's a graphic. It has the number 5 from 5. Maybe there's a circle around it. And it does reinforce the idea of you had to leave enough space for visual marketing for it to be effective in these large big box stores. Good? Cool. Well done. All right, visual hierarchy. Think small, wheatgrass, microgreens, plants. That's all first and second hierarchy. Also, you see the different styles you have here. You might have a reason, but it feels like this feels out of place. If you do want to go bullet point, benefits of wheatgrass, and a gray bullet point, and then lead it out. But the different spacing says, what's wrong with you? I feel like this page needs a little bit of work. Because you're talking about wheatgrass on the left, you're talking about microgreens on the right. You say they're fast to grow, and then you're saying they're easy to grow. Are you talking about both, or are you talking about one? It's almost like you want to make a convincing argument as short as possible. I would say like rule of thirds, boom, boom, boom. Low maintenance, fast growth, Why don't people do it? It's not so much gardening. Gardening is a really big a big category. I was wondering if you're going to see this, but you ain't seen it yet, which makes me disappointed in you. Centerline graphic. Centerline graphic. It's ugly because you didn't center align it. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much gardening. Why don't people, like, how do we encourage low effort gardening? Because gardening's big, and you're just talking about really low entry hurdles, right? Like, I can almost read what you're writing, but it's too much information. I need statements, not sentences. Something to the tune of that guy, that guy. Come on, Photoshop that out, right? I don't really know what it is. It looks like an error. I don't mind seeing all the content, but I want to know what you're thinking. And until it's legible and brief, umbrella, basket. Well, what are you trying to solve? Because you just said, why don't people garden? Hard work, confusing, and ugly. You should be solving these problems. Lower barrier to entry, self-explanatory, intuitive, aesthetically pleasing. Those, based on what you said to me, should be your targets. Are you pursuing those targets? If you're not, then you need to go back and rewrite that statement. At this point, right? So you said, these are my problems. I thought the solutions, reinforced through call outs why this is the best option to go. And because you're in perspective and in terms of visual hierarchy, this needs to be a bit bigger. It needs to occupy that space more. Also, how hard is it to tend the plant with your system? Opportunity sequence of use later on. Because, I mean, go back to it, right? Confusing and hard work make this sequence of use easy. It's cool when you can do these things, but lots of people can do these things. It's nice. I mean, it's not essential, but sure. What did you want to learn? What did you learn? Like, you're still talking about technical skills, which, right? I'm assuming if you can make this, you can do turning, you're decent in a wood shop, and you can work in a welding shop. And that's good. I mean, if you're going for a prototyping job, all right, cool, do it. But I'm so interested, when you made it, was the size right, or did you have to go back and do it a second time? Like, I'm not going to stop and read this, but I think that's important. Direct sunlight versus indirect sunlight. Position tower. There we go, another little detail you need to make more explicit. It's one of the benefits of your design that I've just figured out by looking at it. Don't leave that to me. Treat me like I'm stupid. You got to tell me every single detail. Tend once each day. Okay. You ever put any plants in this thing? Like a chia pet over there. I think the final one has to have, I mean, in terms of a welding and wood project, cool. But in terms of solving a problem, you need actual greens if this is going to be your final image. That guy's better. Talked about this last time, so I'm not going to tell you again. If you want to know any information about how I feel about this page, and I feel some type of way. Previous video, which I'm going to delete in the next couple of hours, maybe days. We'll see how I'm feeling. Confidence, good. What are the other things, right? Elegant, good. You only touched on 2 out of 3. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Five, 4. Getting close. I know these are sketches. What did you learn? What are you exploring? High stability. I just want to see how big it is. It's 11. All right. Okay. Somehow communicate to me what you're thinking about when you're doing these sketches. What things are good? What things are bad? What has potential? What are you worried about in terms of manufacturing? I do like a assembly. I think that's good. We talked earlier about getting your white balance off because you never talk about changing paper, but here it looks, red. Here it looks pink. Here it looks orangey yellow. So get the color so it looks like one product instead of multiple products. Additionally, it's good. Downside, you present this project as if everything within the process went right the first time, right? You never made any mistakes. Everything works good and in sequence. But there's 2 things about this project that I think are interesting. Is I know you made a lot of models. This is not your first model. And I know you went into Pinocchio and calculated these things to get a final price. So both of them have the opportunity to go back, say, listen, this is the first iteration. This is what I got. I thought I could improve it. Here's the one that's either has better aesthetics or more resembles Chinese culture. Or here, when you're looking at the Pinocchio, is the laser cutting cost. How could I drive that part down? Because the basswood, the paper, and the cardstock are always going to remain the same. But in terms of, could you make the file more efficient to reduce the time on the laser and save the end consumer money? Probably. So what I think is missing in this project is the development from first attempt. This could use improvement. That's why I did a second attempt. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Mm-hmm. Ugh. I gotta stop and get out of here for a second. Man, if y'all ain't gonna listen to what I say in class, I'm gonna quit giving feedback, right? What's the point? But Ben, no, Pedro, no. Should this be a capital T as well? I mean, everything else, it starts with a capital. Keep in mind, I can't read this, so I need you to explain why it's important. I would make your bolds a little bit more bold. Is there another way to say cleaning the area? Public restoration? This feels weird because it's like small sentence and then tons of space. And you're not going to tell me what the things that you want to capitalize on, so maybe this is being redundant. Suggestion, go full bleed, and that's the only thing you say. I think that'd be a more successful page based on what I see. This is weird. Just call it opportunities. In that type, though. Let's see. You're giving me opportunities. Let's say we have 4 of them. 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom. And maybe you do like a little leader, so I know specifically in that area what you're talking about. So opportunity, yeah. Kayaking, draw a little line, and then you have a little simple line drawing of someone kayaking. Do you have a picture of the 2 sides where you're actually kind of drawing a bridge? Because until you show me what it is, I don't know. I think there's good opportunities there. And if you are talking about opportunities, help me figure out which category these guys fit into. Because it just looks like a bit of a cluster with very little to do in terms of visual hierarchy. Things bleed into one another. I have sketches next to a pretty static render. So I would divide them into categories. What do you want to accomplish? What are you thinking about? The target area. Well, it should, right? If concept development actually has some type of logic. You thought about the faces of the hospital here. You did some development, and after comparing all 3, and that looks kind of like it's a superficial, in a good word, superficial application to the building, you decide that this was the idea with the highest impact. Then explain. Not only do you get like 2 or 3 benefits, we get 5 or 6 benefits. These being 2 of them. Final presentation model. It's a bit lacking, right? Because this is a really cool idea, and then you don't talk about it here. In addition to the superficial treatment of the hospital exterior, he also gave these effects. But it feels like it's a group project, right? Because, I mean, look at the things that you did. And they're like, this might be her idea. And then you go back. So they're not, like, these elements and what I see before aren't really integrated. But then again, right, if you introduce topics, these are the 3 or 4 things I want to accomplish. This is what I sketched out. These have the most potential. Here's a visualization of potential 1. Here's a visualization of potential 2. It's kind of weaving the story and making it more clear to understand. It's you, Miss Pew. Wake up in the morning, there's dew on the fire, medicinal supplier. Been bushing out a rapper, but occasionally for hire. Alright, cool. Feels a little bit mechanical, right? I'm sure this kid has personality. He's 4. He doesn't know what not to do. Meet Martin. He loves Batman. He's a 4-year-old who loves Batman something, something, something. He also has Syme's amputation as a, I don't want to call it disability, but as a challenge to overcome. I would make this and this more lively. What is this amputation technique? I can figure out what happens here. I'm more interested in what are the challenges that someone has this amputation face. Before and after, patients with this amputation usually face 1, 2, 3. Still, don't like this. Don't know why it's here. Others are saying it's unadaptable. If you would tell me, hey, these are the biggest 3 things facing people with this condition, how might we be able to confront or solve one of his biggest needs? What is his biggest need? Putting on shoes. Why? Because shoes don't fit. I don't like this at all. Children with orthotic prosthesis. I like the potential of what you're showing me on this page, but I don't like the way that it's presented. So I'd go back. What are the biggest challenges? Which challenge do you want to focus on? Show me the challenge. Explain why it's a thing, and then maybe give me design opportunity statements. All right, we're going to do different approaches to shoes and shoe additions. And I go over here. This is a bit, it sucks because I feel like he shortcutted it. One, I'd like a little bit more boldness on these. Bring the black back in, so I can use a little visual hierarchy. Secondly, I would go into Photoshop, and I don't mind the color being under the sketch, but by boxing it is kind of a disservice. So lay the color in the background, erase what's outside the shoe or outside the solution. The lace grip, what does it do? I really don't care about packaging at this point. I'm more interested in solving the problem. So packaging seems like an afterthought. Actually, I'd throw it out. So how does the prototype work? Or maybe the next page is, this is how it actually works. Right, it looks like a soccer shoe. I don't see anything about him playing soccer. So it has potential. It's just kind of misguided in places. And of course, everyone should have choices. But what good does it do for William? Now William can get up and go at the speed of lightning. I mean, make it fun. I mean, you're doing design for a kid. Now William's ready to go for any adventure. Pulling what you said, like in your setting, and pulling it back into like the resolution. Potential. I think you're kind of squandering it. Why is it called a tune? I didn't say this during class, and I regret not saying it. Your margin is what everything you're doing on the left. It's eating 50%, 20% of your page, and it makes putting graphics in here weird. Right? You cut off, I don't know how much. You cut off a little bit for no reason, and you cut off some here. Biscuits. Justice. I think I know what we got to do. F your style. You need to steal somebody else's graphic portfolio in terms of layout, because layout sucks. And I hear what you're saying, like, yeah, I know. Well, that's why we got to steal from somebody else. Because in terms of content, it's a cool story, right? Inspiration. Also, I think this should be a design brief. And we need to split this, right? Because that is not your inspiration, but without any other guidance. Like, cool. What the? You see what I'm saying? So, design challenge was take visual inspiration from mega yachts, implement them into this, a 1984 cruise craft. What challenges does that bring? Well, we had to do this, we had to do this, we had to do this, we had to do this. It could be a good project to talk about, like budgeting your time, working around constraints. Your pick. You already introduced this just to me before here, right? These guys should be paired together because that's an overview. These are details, and then opportunity to do some design methodology. This is how much time I have. These are the tasks. This is the money. I think these will be extremely important yet difficult things to overcome. Same font size, and really you could probably tile out the entire page instead of using this thing, which I hate with a passion. You could tile it all out, but some need to be gray or the opacity pushed back on the image, and then you can give me extra information on top. That way I get context. It was quite the process. Instead of being like kind of subtly clever, just go full clever. It's like you're holding punches. Also, this is a bad Photoshop job. I commend you on helping me see what I need to see, but come in here with Photoshop and outline it. That way I see what you want me to see. And there should be information on every single page. Right? I don't know what's happening here. Linoleum, okay, interior sheets, these would all be the same size. What should we see in this page instead of the process? Maybe a quote would be good. In theory, everything is possible. In reality, everything is difficult. David Gowan. All right, I don't like pluses because the first thing I see is this kind of English cross happening. The images are awesome. I think that should be, yeah, that should be a final image. That looks great. Except in the final image, you're explaining to me all the things you did and how you made them better. The other one could be details. I want these to be big as possible, though. I'm working with the horizontal format. Back to advice I said earlier. Find another portfolio that graphically looks good and put your content where your content is. But until you do, I can't really help you with this step. My suggestion would be full image, doing call-outs or a short paragraph about why it's a great success. Then these three will be your product detail page. Once again, benefit, benefit, benefit. At least you find a product you like. Referendus from you. Referendus, assemble. Yep. All right. Design studies for Pratt industry. Okay. Pratt wanted us to explore no glue, eco-friendly. Durability, maybe a better word. Cost-effective, good words. So, if these are your goals later in the project, I want to see these themes reoccur because it's the only way I can gauge your success. A little bit of laziness that I think you can come in and fix is it's like this yellow bar is on top of your sketches except through right here. I'd like to see a version where there's like white inside of the sketches. That way I can see the sketches a little bit better. But I also see what you're doing, right? These are preliminary. They're not as important as your final. So maybe it's fine. I would just like to see the difference. Ready retail and auto-directing packages began to be oversaturated in the studio. Well, what if it's the right idea? Man, that's a weird inspiration. Alright, man, what's another way I can say this? I felt that auto-erecting and change the color. Auto-erecting and retail ready had limited potential. I thought I might be able to innovate in an undeveloped space of packet stack. What is pack and stack? It is, that might help. Yeah, get off the sides. All right, let's see if we can you make these leaders by not actually going into the project itself? Suggestion is like either straight lines or 45s. So straight line, 45-degree cut. Straight line, 45-degree cut. Straight line, 45-degree cut. All right. Yeah, I like the idea of consistency where these lines aren't being consistent. Also, there's a lot of space between these two. Why? Drop it down a little bit. I don't think it's going to hurt that leader. Initial model study, bold was important. That way I can hunt it down fast. Pack and stack, box layout. Trying to figure out which page. Is this on the first page? I think so. So this is all your ideation. Let's gain credit from it. So white font. Maybe say success from lots of failure. I think that shows character. Alright, I gotta read. Proj is 100% recyclable brand. From a blank that has an area of 2,680, only 480 is not utilized by the packaging layout, making for less back-end recycling, saving on cost and water. Pro. I like what's happening here. I'm still confused on what you're trying to say. More of the box is used for packaging, resulting in a more efficient, economical design, maybe. Because I'm stupid. I don't know what back-end recycling is. This needs help. You got this a cutoff box floating in space. Well, tell me what you gave him. That way you can introduce a sentence. Packaging full of product for sale. Also, you see how this line should pass under and it kind of doesn't because you haven't trimmed or done a clipping mask? Yeah. Also, you wanted to do more. What did you want to give them? Could you just kind of throw this in me? This is cool, I think, right? I don't know where this comes from. Let me pause for a second. Alright, Moreno, so back to this point. Doing more is good, but in order to do more, you got to kind of give me some reason to do more other than I just wanted to. So, this page doesn't really explain it to me that well until I get to here. So is there a way between these two, or at the beginning of this guy, you can talk about the plastic waste issue? Because that's what you're wanting to replace, right? I do like the size. I feel like these guys are maybe a little bit undersized, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut because maybe I'm wrong. It's just these are mini ones. These are real ones. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too picky on that one. But I need you to hit me up between these two and say, hey, this is an issue. This is a clever way to solve it. And then it justifies you doing this. Also, image in the front. Your line should be in the back. Right? See how it's kind of not consistent. Get that finished right. Okay, I think that's all my feedback on this guy. Just get a quick look through. So these are all the one-ups. Why are you bordering it here, but you don't use a border anywhere else? It would look just as good without it. Alright, let's see what the thing is. Design brief. It's not right. Misspell. Tired of saying it. Also, gave you advice in class about changing it. I guess it's unfair. No, I mean, you still could have made those changes and resubmitted it. But I showed you a better way to make this. Let's see, do you use the font any other ways? Not really. So this one, well, that's too small, I can't read it. I would like some handwritten callouts. Like what were you thinking? Like what problems were you solving? Because you want it to be modular, you want it to be portable. So as you're thinking through these, how are you making it more modular? How are you making it more portable? How are you still allowed to make quality coffee? This needs to fit in this section right here. Also, I don't think it needs to be bold. You need to have another level of hierarchy, because that's bolded, but that's a header. That's not a header, so I don't think it should be bold. I do like the sequence of use, but I am curious, what did you learn? Suggestion is take these two, move it over where this spot is, take this, put it to the right, and give me some feedback. You made it, and what did you learn from it? Just a little bit confused. So you have the you have the cream and sugar, the container, and the dropper. But in this form, like there's no surface break. So this is just one shape. Here I can see that there's two shapes, right? Container, dripper, dropper, and then your form. Is there any way to put a filter in? And where do you keep the filter? Do you just keep a new filter with it all times? Maybe you're just missing a small detail here to make it realistic. Okay. Okay, instead of putting like the goal here, and maybe it should be over this. Instead of the goal, create a sub. What about how might we create a sub brand service? Well, you already know you're working for Alienware, so this is kind of a silly question to ask because I already know what the parent brand is. And where's this category going to be in? How might we create I don't know what you're doing yet. I know it's a sub brand, but where's it applicable? What's it applied to? What products or services? This looks like packaging. Also, Jack, you know what? I'm thinking pretty hard. I don't remember seeing any of this. Man, I could be wrong, but it feels weird seeing my first look of it as the final. So, yeah, 66% of your grade. Means the first one's a 0. The check-in's going to be a 0 because I could be wrong. I don't remember seeing nothing like this. I'm not even sure you're making a sub-brand. You're just making packaging. And if it's called Alienware at this point, you're not making a sub brand. You're just doing packaging for Alienware, right? I mean, that's what this is. What's up with the number 6? Exhibit design. 4. Please, for the love, why do we have page numbers? Are they steps in the process? Because the problem is they look like page numbers, mislabeled page numbers. So, do less work and end up being benefited from it. Because it's where it is in the page, it's always going to be one of the last elements that I see. Alright, let's look through. Let's see what we get. Contents. Sub-brand solution. Oh. If you're making a sub-brand, it's got to have an application. It can't just be packaging for Alienware. If it's packaging for Alienware, you call it Alienware. Alright, because I'm confused and I don't know what to do, this is an example of a body. This is an example of a body. Like body text? Alright, cool. You got different forms. Yeah, it's kind of awkward silence. I'm lost. You redesigned Alienware's logo? Why am I on the 5th page when I'm finally figuring out what you're doing? And that should be the first page. You're making a service. So why are you showing, if you're making a service, why are you showing, quote unquote, the new logo? Because like this is 2018, it's going to be used 2019, so the information you use now is like 3 years old. Do we really need to know that? And it feels like you're developing it out. And I think you take a different approach. Like, what things make Alienware it? Like, what are the things that makes the brand specific? And do they really use their logo like that when you have the alien out to the right and the alien below? Definitely not out to the right. I mean, it's off balance. So one, you need to give me outcomes. You're just giving me information that's out there. And I want some insights. I want you to synthesize this into this is who they are, and based on these findings, this allows me to create a sub-brand. Don't understand the colors, because I've never seen these colors applied to Alien brand before, or Alienware. That's gonna be front page. Also, what makes Aura different than Alienware? Because if it's not different, just call it Alienware. I'm pretty sure. Who told you to use gradients in logo development? I hope it wasn't shoe in. For the love, are you Clark Lindell? Why are there drop shadows behind their sketches? They're just bad. I mean, the sketches themselves aren't bad. But the way you're presenting them is bad. Right? This is packaging design is fine, but you only have one. It only looks like one package design. You took the current model they have and wrapped it, and it's like it's one iteration. It's hard for me to believe that is the best iteration. Also, because I have no scale, when I'm finally getting down to like your tertiary elements at the level 3, I'm like, oh, it's a small package. But when I'm looking at these, it looks like you package the PC tower. This needs some Photoshop, right? I shouldn't see cardboard, but I see it. I can't read these, so you have two options. Get rid of them, or give me actual callouts that I can read and figure out what you're doing. Fix the perspective on this, right? That's converging too fast, and it doesn't fill out that space. Another thing is like, man, the drop shadows. No. I don't mind this page so much, but POP display, and these are concepts. And these are concepts for what? Also, you have these callouts, and I don't know what they're doing. Thirdly, you can't really depend on this, right? It's such a small element. It's like it's the very last thing you're going to see on the page. And if I knew like what the goal was for Aura, like what type of feel this thing has, and really it should be Aura by Alienware, because that's what you're pitching. You're pitching a service, not just the hardware that's already existing. Alright, so potentially good, but currently in a bad state. So A, B, C, D, all these places you go, what I'd like to see is what's the viewpoint from A? What's the viewpoint from C? What's the viewpoint from E? That way I can have some type of experience of going around it. I'm not really sure you need all these dimensions. If you just give me an idea of a booth, be like, hey, this is a 30 by 30 booth, and this is what one human scale or a couple of humans would look like taking up that space. That would be sufficient. I really hate seeing dimensions on stuff, especially because you didn't tell me units. You're assuming that we're doing in feet or meters or centimeters. I don't know. You're the designer, you gotta tell me. Opportunity here to tell me why it's a good design. It looks cool. That's all I got. I think, man, this project is like riddled with mistakes and confusion. You gotta address this stuff, man. Maybe it's the internet, maybe it's Maybelline. Alright. Barely legible, right? If I full screened it, I would get some back, so maybe it's okay, but please be aware, like if I have to zoom in and look at your stuff, it's a bad day. Alright, so this is who BGM is. You're developing a backpack. Missionaries in Haiti, cool. Situation. I encourage you to get that from 4 lines down to 3 lines. The downside is like I have to stop and read. I don't want to have to stop and read, but I don't have enough context yet. Hunt to remote villages, get medical care. You cannot make it to their HQ. How many miles? Is it like a day's journey on foot? The problem is they have the PAX is not designed for medical supplies. I didn't understand the last sentence. So organization. So the organization, or so BGM is tough and causes other problems. Oh, so organization of the items is tough and causes other problems. like knowing what supplies have been used. Okay. One, synthesize. Get it a little bit shorter. Let me read this next page before I come back and give you feedback on it. Inspiration. Is that spelled right? I don't know. I'm not going to look. Also, you see that slight line break? Get it fixed. And I do see using that bottom margin. I'm cool with bottom margins. But you got to use them. And it just seems like you're... Okay, that works okay. I'd like more of these. You got one. So, for me, these aren't really essential. You could probably get rid of them and still be fine. If you start using it more like this to give me like either tertiary information or maybe, I don't know what the fourth one is, but that level, I'm cool. I'd say design opportunities, shorten that down a little bit. Inspiration, organization, visibility, like intuitiveness would be good. I think that this highlight, got some color issues, right? We got all the colors of the rainbow. We got red, yellow, blue, orange, green, blue again. Is there a reason for colors? I kind of would feel like having one pop color be consistent and the grays are always fun. Additionally, let's take this green color. Sorry. Let's take this blue color. Throw it to the back of these objects. It'll still unify it and make these more prominent. Another thing, I can't read your callouts. I love reading callouts because tell me what you're thinking, but I can't see them because of the size. Awesome backpack. I mean, I don't think y'all fabricated it. That's how good it looks. And there was a transition, right? There was no prototypes. Maybe you're doing prototypes in another project, but it seems like this one would be good for prototypes. Compact is good. One major issue that I'm seeing is all these look the same. So if I need something now and somebody else packed my pack and then I don't know the order, I've got to open these up individually to find it. It's like finding a keys while you're standing in the rain. Not cool, Robert Frost. Alright, so major plus. Project looks good. Just needs a little bit more cleaning up. A little bit more brevity. Especially this issue. This one really just bugs the mess out of me. And you're reading on a single page, so it feels like you could add half a page to make a full spread at the end. Page 5 is a video. Got it. Yeah, the video is good. Alright, I don't think you're doing a good job of explaining what the problem is. Right, these are your opportunities, not the problem. So what's wrong? The problem is, what's wrong with the current models? Why is there a demand for a solution? Also, it feels like the line weight here is thicker than the line weight here and here. So make me a problem page, then do opportunities page. And if you can, quantify as much as possible, because when you get into these realms of instead of designing for consumers, designing for business, cost is extremely good, because you're not going to sell it on, hey, this is branded by Pratt. They don't care, right? It's the thing that moves products. So cost is going to be important. just a suggestion. Because this is your final concept, come back and Photoshop some of these things out, just to make it look cleaner. So Photoshop the tape and get rid of these extra cardboard edges that don't need to be there. Is there a way you can slide this thing under without having like this giant white gap? Like just have the S curve slide and then move your text to the right. Arrives, slides, open the flaps, lifted. And I know you're going to get in the video, but in this situation, it just seems like it'd be done a little bit better. Video. Give me like actual numbers. Okay, I mean, we talked about the part of the story that made this fascinating. I'm a bit disappointed that you chose to leave it out, because you went to their house and worked with them like in real time, and like nobody else has that story, but do you? I think it could be unique. So serious. So first thing I see is an overlap. Just consistency. Like, let's look what you're doing here. You have your darker font on the line. 2 sizes here is spaced down a little bit. Next, you totally forgot about the spacing. For the sake of time, I place these images. Yes, they do need to get done. Just like you're almost done with this page in terms of lining things up. It's just you start using a grid and then you break the grid. Either use it or don't. I would prefer you use it. Same thing. Grid, 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 no grid. I don't really love these guys, but I'm okay with them. Just make sure they don't overlap. It just seems a bit messy when they overlap. You're working on it. You don't know what I said about that. Ugh. Is there a better way to say this? Strong stance, but doesn't translate easy to a clock. That might be too word. Yeah, that's too many words. Place image here, yes. Thought, like, what if part of your form development is your clock face development? Like, what's going to match it the best? Also, can we have the same vertical spaces that we have horizontal space? That means moving this in, and then what can we scale? We could scale this guy up for sure. Right, move it, scale bottom, lower, right, because you're not going to lose a ton of information from here. Alright, last one is I'm looking for context. Defined, definite, and determined. It seems like you should have known that about right here. Because like there's two things that you're juxtaposing. Not really juxtaposing, but you're trying to combine. Tell me here that it should be those things: defined, definite, and whatever the last one is. Man, I'm starting to hate prep projects. Are these all the categories to explore? And just because I see so many of the other ones, I'm wondering why college room dorms or college dorm rooms. How are they actually going to get into that market space? Because I don't know where to buy products. Also, like, I don't know the problems that exist. Like, why would somebody buy a cardboard a hutch opposed to one that's like out of linoleum or pressed wood or masonite? It's kind of a weird product space. Shouldn't your market research come before your solution? I agree with you, yeah. A lot of cheap college furniture ends up being thrown away. Maybe give me a number, right? It's not 1/2. Maybe like 40% of students live in campus housing. And I don't know what's happening here, right? Throw it to like a final solution. Hey, I do this one sketch. Hey, I did one model. Hey, let's throw some graphics on it. Also, this irks me. Why would the oranges be different? Why can't we just use the same orange? I think that's the easy Photoshop fix. Frame, divider, and shelf. Keep in mind, let's pick Cody, who is a psychology major. How easy is this thing to assemble? Maybe sequence of use would be helpful. I feel the same thing about this. My eyes go here first because it's so intricate. Then I'm like, oh, you also have that. I like what you've done, but the focus should be on the design, not the room elements. Creating content. A lot of reading. Suggestion, 2 pages. Who is Snook? Next page, what's your task? How might we create a meaningful and manageable work experience or program? What's a work experience? A meaningful program. I don't even know what you're doing. Because you're talking about government and homeless. Is it a system that helps you locate jobs, kind of like a job placement portal? Personas, I think almost everything. John and Deborah, it's fine. Everything can go down like 2 point sizes in terms of fonts. This is a bit weird, right? So daily life, that's 24 hours a day. Typically you talk about the 16 that you're awake, and this is only like 2 hours of the day, so that's a bit confusing. Wow, that's a strong statement. Let's cut out guitar for money, because you tell me the next sentence. Why isn't this person given a chance? Right? That's interesting. I like the juxtaposition between these two. Also, is there a way to tell me, like, this is Deborah and that's John? thoughts, right? So when these come down a little bit, what if we scoot this out to the left, scoot that out to the right? I know it's going to be unbalanced, but then a very shallow pointer. That way it's a bit more implied instead of, well, it's explicit instead of implicit. Same thing. Smaller, and just give me 3 instead of 4, so I cut one of these out. This is interesting. This is interesting. I don't know what this is. So you're kind of missing one point. Let me see if this happens. You did research. What did you find out from research? Like, what are your insights that are going to drive your concept development? Like, if you can give me like 3 points. From our research, we learned that employees look for this, that the biggest hurdle to getting a job is this. These are ugly, please redo. Classes. So the solution is like a class. All right, confused. You made a kiosk, and the solution is a class. All right, thoughts. We talked about your margins on Tuesday. You had a chance to fix it. I see that you didn't fix it. Cool. All right, so inside out, what's this, outside in? Clock project. So this is a visual brand language project. Like you could, I think because of, we don't need another clock. This is more of an exercise in understanding visual brand language or communicating emotion and I guess design intent within the 3D model. You have to keep some of the same setup elements. I'm tired of seeing misspelled stuff. Okay, so you got to tell me what your word is first. After you tell me your word, define it with 3 other words. Like these are synonyms, and this is how I explain it to synonyms. Also giving me some type of like visual bank is a way to say it, or like a mood board. For my 3 subwords that are synonyms, these are some images that I'm going to draw some visual brand language from, some styling, some geometry potentially. Once I have those, it makes sense to go to sketching. But without them, you just started sketching, which we don't do that as designers. Maybe as a sculptor, but not designers. We have to have more reasoning behind what we do. Also, move these down. You see how close that is? Knock this down, knock this down. And you wouldn't have to do that, right? Get rid of your borders. They're not helping you at all. Move exploratory sketches to the top. No one's going to love your tan margins. Too many lines down. Try to synthesize some of this information. Since this is the final sketch, I do want the sketch to be bigger. And then you move into the final model. I mean, this is what I see, right? You're showing me a final model on your final concept page. Oh, these should be spreads. Why aren't they spreads? Man. Still think there's more white space. You could scale it up a bit and it'd still work fine within your grid. Imagining these are on the same page. If you introduce ideas here, these are the three synonyms that it needs to fit. Then you can reiterate, hey, it has this quality, and this quality. And then I can tell you that, yeah, you hit the mark or no, you didn't. But right now it's just a sketching exercise. I'm not going to read it. Better. Not really sure if you need the white background. But keep in mind, Afrofuturism, it's not a movement that we're taught in design school. So help us understand what makes these things. Like, can you describe the style? Like, are there like 3 main headings to it? Man, I do like the attempt to incorporate Black Panther, but I think this is good enough, right? I don't think you have to use the background of Wakanda. Because at this point, I'm trying to look at your sketches, and I'm like, ooh, the plane, the buildings. Other designers are probably as much as ADD as I am. So by telling me, like, these are the goals, these are the characteristics, you can reinforce them in your sketches and say, it needs to be based off of these terms in order for it to be successful. And these are in spreads, right? Yep. I should see them in spreads. Quarter model, half model, 1-to-1 model. I don't really need 3 unless I have a huge level of development. Plus, my opinion, I don't need 6. I mean, what's the difference between these two? This view. Yeah, you changed out a front piece and you open the back. But I might consider dropping 1 image, moving your text in here, and just tell me a few words about the essential things that you learned through this process of making what was successful, what was unsuccessful. Because right now I don't know, especially with this. That's a Photoshop job. Background is distracting. Also, look what we've done. Spacing between elements, spacing between elements, spacing between elements. Why? Why would you stack them on top? It makes them more difficult to read. Are there any images that are redundant? I think this is cool. I like 3-corner view. That's part of a story that I think you need to talk about. These, not so sure. I would keep 1 of these. Then you have like 6 blocks, but 5 are images. Take your text and put it in the missing block. Alright, thanks for all the feedback I can get. Really, you should tell me why it's a successful design at the end. Reading. Are you avoiding clean lines? I mean, I'm just looking in terms of visual hierarchy. Areas to avoid: clean lines, minimal curves, streamlined looked. That's what I read when I look at this quickly. I mean, it's an attractive page. I think it looks good. Let's see if it reads good. Laundry, 30%. Like who is their laundry people. They love doing laundry. They have a laundry room. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So basically you're telling me what your end result's going to look like. It's untethered, curated features, tasteful. When difficult with tasteful is typically like a persona to run that off of. Instead of product vision, maybe product inspiration. I'm cool with it. Feature exploration. How do I know which one you picked from this group? Is there a way to highlight it? And what about consider moving this guy here so it lines up there? Almost the same thing here, right? I'm trying to figure out why you... Sometimes there's no need to align because it's kind of a floating in space thing. And other times it's distracting when it doesn't, right? That should have left a line. That should have left a line. Okay. Okay. Finish content. That's a really big brief. My challenge. I give you 2 sentences, 3 lines max to write all this. Well, I know from this previous one, you're doing something with air that we breathe. So maybe the more important sentence is it became increasingly clear that we have false insecurity of the air that we breathe in our homes. That's a pretty strong statement. Okay, like your personas. Or maybe those are more accurately archetypes. Air purifiers, cost, cleanliness, and awards. I don't know what those mean, so I had to guess. Oh, here we go. Cost, durability, quality. Do you like the pros and cons? All right, key takeaways. What's up with the blue font? I'm trying to see how do we make this read a little bit easier. I typically don't like suggesting this. It just feels like sizes are off, right? That feels smaller than that. I'd like this third level to be a little bit less prominent. Where key takeaways: drugs for everything, allergies are everywhere, slave to price, hit the books. That's what I see as your most important things. All right, so people don't do anything about it. Which is like, why don't people do something? Is a question that I'm starting to ask. Guess ideation. What are you trying to solve? Right? Why hasn't anybody blended these two together? Right, just by seeing all this. Brevity, man, brevity. Could you get it shorter? Can you give me 3 lines? I do like that I can read your process. I think that's pretty pivotal. Good. These things are bad. These things are good. Good. Oh man, tired. Can't think. Intuitive. Good intuitive format. Also, overall size. I don't know the size. Right? There's no context. So, is there an object or a human or something like a chair? So that gives me an idea of what size we're working with here. Let's not talk about details first. Give me one big picture of the entire thing. The diffuser base. This is what fits on top, right? So show me the entire thing first. I might flip that guy to the right, although I would much rather see a hero shot first. Hero shot, then detail shots, then exploded. This sequence is pretty tough, man. Like it's an air filter, right? So there's a couple of different. This is its own process. That's its own process. I think your sequence use needs some help because I'm kind of confused because it's not just one thing, it's many things that need to be explained. Make this a little bit easier to read. Right? Over here it's totally fine, but when you get on that highlight on the floor, it's a bit more difficult. That's fine. How much does it weigh? Probably a file image. Right? The reason why I asked why does it weigh because of Miss Rose. Alright, let me stop this and make another version. Alright, musical vision. Gotta be honest, nobody's really got this project right so far. Working with Georgia Tech students, this is great, cross-collaborative. This is a bit of a negative, right? Because in terms of visual hierarchy, my eye's going to look to graphics first. What does this tell me? Drawing tools, system preferences on laptop. Smiles is good, but we're adding something, right? And so if those are my assumptions, this is what you gave me. So this is on you. I think a better approach is Dr. So-and-so brought this device to us and we thought we could make these things better. Downside to doing exactly what I just said is I don't know what this thing does. I need you to show me what it does, why it's essential. Then you can talk about the advantages and the disadvantages. Without knowing what it does, I don't know what problem we're solving. Like, and it's not just a hey, make new housing. Yes, it's the ergonomics, but even more than the ergonomics, it's like there's a stigma, right? If I'm blind and I'm walking around with a stick, people say, hey, that person's blind. If I'm walking around with this in my face, they're like, oh my gosh, they're wearing VR in the middle of traffic. This is dangerous. So help leverage some expectations. Discretion, right? That's exactly what I'm talking about. So if these are the things, come on. What can be improved? Ergonomics. Echolocation. I think this should be used earlier. And tell me, like, this thing does echolocation. Because on this page, it's just a page on echolocation. I know what echolocation is. I watch Flipper. I need you to make the connection. What are you pairing? So I see what you're doing. I'm just wondering about why. Why do you feel you need two sensors? And why are they placed here opposed to being on the head? Which will always tell me where you're going. Well, I think it'll tell you where I'm going. Because as I turn my head, it's scanning that area. This requires my body to turn to scan the area. Just curious about your decision. Come on. He's not just somebody. He's Will. Is Will seriously like this little kid? Have 16-year-olds got smaller? I'd rather you come up with like a direct quote from Will here. That's going to be a lot more impactful than someone who doesn't want their visibility to slow them down. I feel like you've crammed too much on this page. Right? Let's say there's 2 pages. Let's take this information, throw it on the right. You have 6 sketches. Then you'll highlight the things that have potential. Right? You can use that color under it or circle it with a colored box. I don't know if these are. Right? And why would you put it on a backpack? I see you're putting it around the waist. That makes sense at this point. Although these should be closer, right? You're assuming I'm going to remember that after learning about Will and your sketches. I just don't. Why is it in the backpack? You show it on the waist. You show it on the waist. The next one should be on the shoulder. It's not. It's like I'm watching a story turn into a disaster. It's like just a car crash. It set on fire. Caught the building on fire. The more I go, the worse it gets. Okay, you made a decision that you chose not to explain to me. You're having straps. Why did you choose straps? Because they're adjustable to anybody, regardless of where you place it. So if you chose straps, could I personally choose where to put it? Or like if you give me like a shoulder harness, then I would have to put it, let's see, it's more like a upper body harness, kind of like a GoPro type thing. Or a chest harness says you always have to put this on the chest. But you gave me a strap holder instead. So what's up with that decision? And why is it rotating? Will that mess up the echolocation? Battery. Just, I want to see like a port where I can charge from. Be careful on anything. On multiple, on garments of your choice, that might be better, because anything is literally anything. Also, this page feels funky, right? It's kind of up to the left and it's a bit off balanced. I do like the context, but why? Why is it important that it's a rotating connector? Freedom of choice, freedom of use. What is happening here? This project's not done. Coachella. Could you give me an image? Tell me, like, who is MakeFast Workshop? Work together to design models of objects to a degree that they are simple and fast to recreate. What's the difference between that and Thingiverse, where there's an online forum where people upload models that I can download and print for free. And we are talking about music, right? Do they just do music? Their inspiration? I thought we were doing your project. I'm talking about them. Alright, so when are you going to do some work? Alright, so let's say this is your work. 7 out of 16. So 40% is what they've done? Like, I don't mind having context. It just... I'm not sure if that part of MakeFast is important. That's interesting. I don't know what this is, so I'm not going to read it. It's almost like you could do 1, 2, 3 of them in one page. Hey, here's an existing device. This is what's good about it. Right? The single tune. Mass production. Here's the negatives about it. Poor sound quality because of these reasons. What can we improve? Feels like that's 1 or 2 pages, not 6. I mean, I do want to know about the pentatonic scale, but why is it important? I mean, right? Most musical instruments string instruments give you the ability to play scales, so why is it important to this project? I'm really impressed with what they built. I'm just not impressed with what you built up at this point. Right? So if you give me opportunities and say, hey, these two, man, words are tough. These 2 people groups could use this type of solution. But what currently is on the market isn't good enough. Tired of it. Yep, it's a placeholder. I do like your prototyping and then getting feedback. I think it's nice. You gotta add some more space. One thing I'm worried about is, see how many placeholders you have? I'm worried because, like, school doesn't stop, maybe except for Thanksgiving. Content for second spread. Too many words, no hierarchy. Project description, ideations, do you like the sequence of use? But really, dang, we got to your solution really fast, so that's what it feels like. I mean, you have good images, and I think there's going to be a good solution to it. I don't know what it is yet. It seems like they think you really worked on with the corners. So if you give me some ideas earlier, that from all your research and observations and talking with experts and going to stores, is the weakness, all of it is within the corners. And if you fix that, other things will take care of themselves. Cool, but right now that doesn't exist. Okay, let me give this guy a look. People love or hate them. What does middle appliances mean? You don't need a toaster and a toaster oven. Okay. This doesn't tell me anything yet. Still changing that. What are some functional things that you learn through your research, like, hey, this needs to get better? Because part of the reason for the design change is, one, there's an aesthetic change. It's not a box like typical ones are, a barely tapered box. So what's the reason behind that? And secondly, what's the reason behind the two open doors? You know these things, but until you tell me, I don't know why it's important. You open things, you got different sizes. Why? Interface would be nice, especially like in order to fix the interface. Tell me what's wrong with the current interface. Can we make homegirl just a little bit lighter, or maybe gradient her off? Because this is good, but then anyone here like, yo, what's up with her face? And at no point do you ever show me a chord. At no point did you sketch a chord. Does it runs on hopes and dreams? Man, it better be lots of hopes and dreams. Because heaters churn through power. Dave, we talked about this in class Wednesday, I believe, right? This needs to be shown in spreads. You could have went back, made it a spread, posted it, but you didn't. I'm down on the conference. I still don't like looking at it. I wouldn't say don't include the part here that you continue to enter an internship. The next project should be the continuance into an internship. Now, if you have something like a symbol like here, maybe this relates to your resume. That could be cool. I don't want to read those 3 sentences, but I have to. Auto-rect, eliminate user error, decrease time, keep costs low. Those are your goals. Do you ever talk about them? Research placeholder, okay. In progress, okay. Ideation, okay, I can dig that. I don't mind you skipping models as long as you tell me. This makes sense, but what did you learn from them? Downside of this picture is there a way you can bring my attention to the foreground instead of the background? I'm a bit distracted by these things. Plus you got a kind of a gray thing happening. Can you just like Photoshop cut these out and then try to, you don't have to change it, desaturate the background and try to get it about the same type of gray? Also, alignment, not quite right. Alright, it doesn't bother me that bad. Because you did ideation here, I kind of want a sequence of use here, or assembly. What do you mean developmental model? You already oh, come on, man. Freaking use Photoshop the right way. Don't use a brush. Use a stinking like marquee or line tool. I can't think what these things are called right now. Oh, man, yeah, I'm gonna start fining y'all for misspelled words. Or I'll just say, oh, misspelled, not giving you feedback on this page. I think that actually might work better. Like, I'm thinking about it from my side, right? You get done with your portfolio, put it together, it gets sent out. Like, dang, this portfolio has lots of bad spelling errors. Who's teaching portfolio at Auburn? That comes back on me. Really. Downside is you don't get a job. Worst part is, they're like, well, he's lacking attention to detail. Nah, that's not the case. I can't get y'all to align with what I'm doing. Design changes. I get this page. The only thing I don't understand is palletized units. Back to this before I went to my rant. What's a developmental model? Is it a scale model? Is it a prototype? Let me see if I can understand what's going on here. No. I do appreciate the attempt to help me understand these things, but I don't know what you're doing other than you're adding rubber bands. So maybe a real life process might be superior. This is also confusing in terms of flat pack shipping. Under lowercase a, capital B, capital C, whatever you do, be consistent. If you're just talking about shipping, you flatten it and you ship it. So you have it, you flip it over, you pull this up, and then you put it back down because you're shipping it. That's what I'm understanding. Placeholder. Placeholder. Yeah, this class has lots of placeholders. Dr. Giro. All right. These should be your graphics. These aren't yours. How can I tell? Well, none of it's your fonts, right? Next page, I'm seeing that, oh, you're using, maybe that's Garamond, using serifs. Well, I don't really love serifs. The way you're using it's fine, but that's not your information. Make it your information. Placeholder. Not yours. I almost want I want rule of thirds. Image, image, image. Small text, small text, small text. Is this like a synthesization of like the three characteristics that it has to be? I'm not sure if it's necessary, but I'm not going to kill it off yet. Redo sketches. I see this and I go, nope. Plus I see like the bad Photoshop job, just getting rid of kind of the ugly scans, and I go, nope. Nope. Right, I can't see your callouts. If I can't see it, it's just not useful. So two options. Either get rid of it, scale things up to fill that void, or get rid of it and come back and write things using this antique, where I can actually read what you're thinking about. Because, right, 3 sitting postures. Okay, that's cool. I'd like to see them, but at least that's interesting. Sketches distance below seat pan and back. Okay, I mean, at least I can tell what you're thinking through. But when I have this, I have no clue. Also, scale models. Tell me these are scale models. Keep me, manage my expectations. When you add the silhouettes, make sure they're light. They're just there for context. Show in context instead of folding. Alright. Yep, man, I'm seeing so much Placeholders. Y'all in trouble. Alright, instead of starting off with parent brand, this is a rebranding project. So really this should be page number 2. Yeah, it's a sub. This is page 1. This is page 2. Project sub-brand recreation. You were tasked with taking a Fortune 100 company and extending their brand into a untapped area. Also, you just totally forgot about your columns, right? Okay, so what do you expect? What is it becoming, right? If you're going to take a company, it's some type of reward. What does it do? I shouldn't have to go hunt for this information. You're making a sub-brand that does what? That's different than Starbucks. Alright, so what does Triton do? Also, there's like very little logo creation, and I know that was a big part of the class. Page looks good. I'm still struggling to find personal environment for the business audience. Is it like a brick and mortar store? Yes. Alright, so you're making a multi-use public space. And in order to advertise for that public space, these are the things. So something you got to do is, this is Starbucks. These are their core qualities. These are the values we can stretch. These are the values we cannot stretch. All right, when they explain me the values, then I can say, okay, this shape, this form, this visual communication fits into what is an extension of the visual brand language. Currently, I'm lacking the direction to make me understand. Like I know y'all did what Shu-Wen or Randy told you to do, but from an outside source who doesn't know anything about this class, if I'm lost, I guarantee whoever's reading this project will be lost. Giant plus. Pages look good. It's just I'm struggling to understand what's the purpose. This is too little for me to see. Also, what would make this so much better? Just build a human figure. Because, one, I hate numbers. People don't love numbers. People love to just understand things the first time you see it. We want things that are intuitive. So if you just have a little human in here, a little cutout, you go, oh, that's scale. If this person's 6 foot tall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 30 by 30, 30 by 15. But with no human scale, it could be for ants. Is this your first page or last page? Come on. Okay. Accountability. So there's misspelled and a bad hand. What's the problem? Found one. It's a lot of information with no images. 90% of the world's population. And you're talking about air quality, right? So I think that's really important, especially in your first sentence. Why do you have three sentences? It's like they all say the same things. Let's see which one's the strongest. I think your last one's the strongest one. So just one, not giant full bleed, but maybe bleed the top 2/3 and then that one sentence under it. I'm trying to understand what's going on here. This is the important part, right? That current masks are ineffective. If current masks are ineffective, what are the things you have to do to prevent it? Like, part of me says, like, did I tell you to give me this information? If I did, I apologize. It's not that it's bad. It's just like, this isn't the problem. They're small. We can't change how small they are. What we can change is current masks are ineffective. These are things you have to do to make it effective. Nitrogen mask. Okay, good with that. Good with those. Maybe a bit more, too much bolding here. Just give me two. I think maybe look sick is a big one. And then hide my real personality. You can give me the other ones later as like developmental. Oh, I didn't realize I needed this, but it's also important. Cares about his expenditure. What is that? It's not so much little saving, it's just like tight budget. Okay, personas. Alright, so you're going for economic, sustainable, and fashionable. What about effective? This needs to be redone. I like the volume. I do. I want them to be a little bit bigger because I'm having a hard time seeing what you're developing. And the bigger ones need to be bigger too, because all I can see is that you're doing glasses and you're doing some type of chin strap. It's better than what I saw before. This needs to be your graphic. Okay. I think this comes back to an issue that I was curious about previously. Why do you even need the glasses? Oh, how many pages do we have? This feels like a lot. Can you talk with this thing on without looking like a super villain? I do like this page though. You're communicating, you're thinking through your prototypes. How's this thing powered? Yeah, that hand. Alright, it's a battery. If there's a battery, I'm assuming you charge it some way, right? So we need to see a port. Reading. I don't mind these pages, they're fun. I think you might just need one person walking through the city because like they're holding hands. You talk about like there being deaths and respiratory issues from breathing clean air. It's nice that they're happy, but he has one, she doesn't. And go back, right? So you said these things were important earlier. Economic, sustainable, fashionable. You got to reinforce that this thing is economic, sustainable, fashionable. How would I fix this? Just one person walking through the city smiling, not two. And honestly, it feels like your branding's an afterthought. You don't have to put the branding in there. No one's making you do it. I just might just leave it as is. Just take out the branding because at this point, it doesn't play an essential role in the project. Harvard. Lottery. Last time challenged. Alright, so I'm looking at 3 projects. Alright, I'm having a problem reading it. It's kind of this towards the lower threshold of what I can read. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Alright, so you're depicting a space. Project 2. What's the circulatory spectrum? Is it a little bat house? Alright, it's not that the projects are bad. I'm just confused. Like, what's the problem? Then how did you go about solving it? I mean, even if it's a small project, you can still communicate that information. And I'm not getting that yet. Stuff looks good. I mean, layout's fine. It's just, I don't know the problem solving yet. Okay. Dirtless gardening. Nutrient solutions cycled. I think that's pretty important. Less mess, less effort. Can we do like more or less? Less effort, more food? Is there a way to, I mean, I'm trying to find a way to combine this too. No manual watering, no heading pollinating soil, no huge space required. Okay, I'll go with that. Fix a little bit. All I gotta do is drop some type of darker background just through here because they look KE this. That's what I read on my screen. lot of ... and then you can give me gluing, inaccurate measurements, balancing, hot dogging, something like that. Well, it's difficult to me to say they're no better. If they're no better, no one would buy them. Or maybe say the store-bought options are a little better because of, yeah. All right, good with that. It's time for your arm. It's not some, I mean, form exploration is important, but it's not just form, right? You need to develop a solution that was more inviting, simple, and natural. I mean, I think we're inviting, right? Let's look at this original prototype. Not inviting. Inviting, but you said it's bad. So it's, yes, you're making it more intuitive, but it's not just a form development. You want to make it more communicative. Is cat with a double D? I'm just curious if, like, this should come earlier, right? Right, what's the goal of hydroponic garden? Shouldn't that be up here before you do form exploration? I mean, it can just be a basic statement. I needed to create a solution that was 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you go through sketching, you're trying to achieve those 4 outcomes. But wait, there's more. Breeding. Is that right? Solution trickles down through grow medium? I don't know. It's not a project. Are you using punctuation anywhere? No. Okay. Yes. Period to no period. Be consistent. Okay. All right, we reached the end. Make sure I got the rest of that. I think so. Do you ever talk about the modular aspect of it? I mean, essentially you put that in. But you don't really show that it's modular. If you did show it's modular, right, one would have maybe 2 and the other would have 4. Is that within the realm of possibilities? Okay, that's all the feedback I've got from my brain.